Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great Sunday, and that if you are having a long holiday weekend, I hope you're having fun and being safe. Yesterday, I shared a little bit about my struggle, about my sobriety. I am 616 days sober, and that's something I'm super proud of. But I think that while I've been sharing my journey, I am celebrating every day as a huge accomplishment, and every victory is worth a celebration. And I talk about it a lot on social media because I don't have a sponsor, because I don't go to AA meetings. So my speaking about it publicly is twofold. I get support, I get to fill my cup by paying it forward and helping other people who might be struggling with their own sobriety or decision to get sober. And I've shared a lot of stuff that I've done, and people are like, man, I wish I had your willpower. But I've recently started to struggle. And so I decided to share that with everyone, because I don't want you to think for 1 minute that anything that I've done is absent of struggle. So many people look at people who have succeeded at something that they wish to succeed at, and they automatically tell themselves that that person had it easier or this or that. And so I never want to give off the illusion that what I do sobriety wise, fitness wise, marriage wise, as a mom, anything is done easily. Everything that I've done has been simple. There's simple steps that I follow, but it's not easy. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I was thinking about how people talk about all the time about how, oh, I fell off the wagon. And I've used that term so much. And I really realized that nobody really falls off the wagon. It's not like you're just going 100 and, the whole time, and then all of a sudden you just fall off. It happens slowly. We drift into old patterns. And it's so easy because our brain is so tricky. It literally can we can convince ourselves to do or not do anything, even if we know it's wrong. There's always that justification. And so this is something that I realized, that people who they have a goal, whether it's to save money, to get out of debt, to fix their marriage, to lose 50 pounds, to do something scary, whatever it is, as time progresses, if you don't know exactly why you're doing it, and because people know what they want, but they don't really know why they are doing it. They don't take the time to really focus on that. They just focus on what they don't want and what they want. And as time progresses, your desire to do these things can become lax, because distractions come up, because that icky voice in the back of your head that tells you that you suck, that you could never accomplish it, or voices from people in the past who've laughed at you, it starts to seep into your brain. And so we start to drift. And it's something that 2 weeks ago, for example, I said, okay, I'm going to just revamp everything that I do, that I'm going to get rid of that saying that I had, that where I would tell myself that I'm not a morning person. So I constructed a plan of this is why I need to get up. I need to get up early so that I don't have mom guilt all day long when Rebel's sitting there playing on his iPad or watching TV or wanting me to go outside and fish. And so I did that. And so every morning, dedicated, I got up at 6 o'clock. I had a system set up. Alarm was set in the bathroom. Got up, brushed my teeth, washed my face, came out, got a drink of water. And then one morning it was freezing cold. I think the air was set on 70 that night before, and I was cold. So I went and did everything, all the steps, got up, turned my alarm off, brushed my teeth, washed my face, got a drink of water, got my Beats, got it plugged into my phone. And then I was like, fuck, it's cold. So I went and got back in bed. And then you know what? That one decision, everything up until that point, instead of sitting in the recliner and getting a blanket to cover up, I went back to bed. It's been a struggle ever since then to get back into the recliner instead of bed. Even this morning, I went and got back in bed. I stayed awake. I did my meditation. I did my personal development. I've been up since 6 or 7 o'clock this morning. On weekend, I stayed in bed an extra hour. But these are the makings of getting off track, where people say I've fallen off track. I didn't fall off track yet, but if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna fall off track. And so I wanted to just share this with you, because I wanted to let you know that I struggled, that there are things that I get off of track easy, and I've done this my whole entire life. I've done bad things. There's a reason why I have struggled with alcohol and drugs and had bad relationships and had money problems, is because slowly that, oh, this one time won't hurt, or oh, it was because it was cold, or oh, it was because we were celebrating, or whatever. It's like it's always gotten me back to where I started, and I'm sick and tired of starting over. And I think many of you are sick and tired of starting over, or tired of feeling stuck or being stuck in the same cycle. All it takes is a decision to do something. That instead of saying that I'm tired of this or that, but looking at what you want and why you want it, then coming up with a plan, then having somebody to hold you accountable, whether it's your significant other, whether it's your best friend, whether it's social media, I mean, whatever it is, hold yourself accountable, write it down. And then don't let anything stand in the way. And the moment you start to see that you're veering off of course, now there's a time that you've set up a plan and things just aren't fitting you, so you have to change things around to find something that fits you better. But like what I was doing for the last 2 weeks of my morning was working. It was just that one curveball of that cold morning that I made the decision to get back in bed instead of making the decision to get a blanket or putting socks on or pants instead of shorts. That right there was the one thing that slightly was getting me off course. And you guys know, if you're honest with yourself, that you have these moments as well. But I had to just do a gut check this morning. I was like, Mindy, you knew what you wanted to do. You were doing so well. You knew you could do it. It was just a slight one decision, like a 2 millimeter shift, like Tony Robbins talks about, can make or break everything in your life. And so that 2 millimeter shift of getting back in bed, instead of making another decision, started to shift my patterns and was getting me off course. And so this is the same thing, that if you're trying to save money and then you're like, oh, well, it's my best friend's birthday, I can't say no, they wouldn't understand, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy, dinner, an appetizer, drinks, those are the things that get off course. I've done that before, that once I spend that money, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. It then becomes a habit, and it's like, oh, well, we went for pizza last week, maybe we'll go for Mexican food in a couple days. Oh, it's just one day a week, same thing as years and years, of alcohol and drug struggle. Like I quit drinking when I was pregnant. I stopped doing drugs several times, but then there was times it was present, and then I was like, oh, it's just this one time, it won't hurt, and the next thing you know, I was back into having a problem. And so these are the things that I have learned in however old I am. I forget if I'm 36 or 37. I guess I'm 36. Is that I always know whenever there's that devil on your shoulder and you're like going back and forth, and you're weighing it out. Now I need to weigh out the pain of what that decision would cause and what consequences it have, instead of looking at, oh, well, it was so nostalgic, it was fun. I talked about yesterday about how we went out on the airboat the other night, and I hadn't been out on the lake for a really long time. I kind of avoided it because it was always like, some people like identify alcohol and cigarette together, or something, but I knew that the lake meant partying for me. And when I got out there, it was just like this smell, this feeling, this everything, and I was like, God, I want a beer. And there was beer on the boat, and I was like, oh, I just gonna have just a sip, and then I was like, then I started thinking about, like, God, I miss these times of when I was here and with these people and these people, and it was just a feeling, and I had to do a gut check of that. Was it really worth that? But so many people, if you don't stop and have that self-awareness, that moment of reflection, that moment of impulsiveness, could really wreck everything that you've done. And people said, when I talked about about my struggle, they said, self-respect wins all the time. And I feel so much better knowing I didn't take that drink, that I didn't ruin my 615-day streak, that I wasn't going to be moving closer back to heartbreak for myself and my family. And that's really, the message I want to share with you, is that we all have these moments, and you need to be honest with yourself, and you just need to slow down a second and think about what you're doing. Think about not the pleasure it's going to give you, because it's usually a very fleeting moment, a very temporary time of pleasure, but a lot of times it comes with a long-lasting sense of hurt or failure. And these things, that the moment you make that decision, you get off course, that's what keeps people from doing anything awesome later in their life, because they're like, well, I failed this time and I failed that time, so they don't even bother trying again. And so that's just my message for you guys, is that just be careful of when you're drifting, because you really don't fall off the wagon. It doesn't happen overnight. It all happens with a series of decisions that you make that you could have done differently. So don't let those things get in the way of you and your goals. See ya.